it enhances my relationship with my wife. And, he talks about trying pure cocaine and all these different drugs. He's like, he does drugs all the time. And he's a professor. He's a professor at Columbia.
Oh, wow.
A brilliant guy. And it's tough to argue with him because he knows so much about drugs from the perspective of an actual researcher and plus a guy who actually uses them, but goes out of his way to tell him. He has dreads. Like he doesn't look like a typical professor in that sense. It is like he looks like a cool guy.
What is he a professor of exactly?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, psychology. Psychologist. Okay, so
but,
a psychiatrist prescribes drugs,
yeah,
correct? But a psychologist diagnoses
mental illness.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Psychologists try to help you work through things, right? Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, but this guy he sounds like any functional drug addict I've ever met. And in my line of work, I have met and do know many.
Yeah. But he's not a drug addict. He's actually in fact,
he just said he does drugs all the time.
Does whatever drugs he wants.
Oh, let me guess. He can quit anytime he wants.
He's actually put himself through withdrawals on purpose to document it. So he's put himself into a situation where he did heroin multiple days in a row to a point where his body became physically addicted, and then got off of it just to document what the withdrawal process is actually like. And he says it's like having a flu.
This is the most clever drug addict I've ever heard of. I'm not sick. I'm documenting sickness. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I think that shit. I've seen so many wonderful people they'll never know in the same way again.
Because of drugs.
Because of drugs.
That's true.
It's heartbreaking.
But what makes one person fall apart due to drugs and another person not? That's where it gets tricky. Because some of it's biological, some of it's...
Right, but it's just like COVID. And why did I feel fine in 2,000 people a day in New York? I mean, don't start, because I know fat people don't like hotcakes.
It's... there was a lot of things going on in New York. It wasn't just the obesity, but I have a friend who was a doctor there, and he did say it was a lot of obese people, unfortunately. If you eat bad food, bad things happen. And that's just the reality of being a human being.
All right. I mean, but I also think it's the reality of being a drug addict.
Right. Take bad drugs, bad things happen.
Right. Yeah. This shit is nothing to play with. And how many minds are strong enough, like this professor, to responsibly do hard drugs?
Yeah.
This is it's like an X-Men superpower.
Well, he's also a guy who understands the actual physical reaction these chemicals and compounds have on the brain and on the body. He knows it from an academic perspective.
I mean, and Michael Jackson OD'd by drugs that was administered by a physician.
Well, that was weird shit, right?
Yeah, it was.
Imagine the kind of stress that guy was under. He was under so much stress he had to get anesthetized every night.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine anything Michael Jackson did. Once he bought that first giraffe, I was like, you on a whole new level, bro. I don't know any of the emotional content of a guy's life like that.
There's people that were pioneers in the fame game. And you think about Michael Jackson's one of them. Elvis is another one. There's people that were pioneers in being super famous to the point where nobody had been super famous like Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson.
I don't know that anyone ever will again be what he was.
Right.
Or Elvis was, or the Beatles were.
It's a different thing.
No. That shit is, I think that shit is done.
Yeah, maybe. It's a different thing.
I can't think of one thing that everyone will agree on that much ever again in this context.
I remember Michael Jackson, I've told this before, but Michael Jackson, I was listening to WBCN, the Rock of Boston, and they were going, look, I know this isn't rock, but it's so fucking good, we're going to play it anyway. And they played Michael Jackson.
Oh, it's that.
It was that good.
Yeah.
It was so good they played it on rock stations.
He was ubiquitous.